A busy street targeted by terrorists in Vienna, Austria. At least 19 killed in a terror attack at Kabul University in Afghanistan. Terrorists target a church in Nice in France. Anguish, anger, and a firm resolve to fight radical Islamist terror. France bombs terror hubs in Mali. Kills more than 50 suspected Islamic State terrorists. Major offensive against radical Islamist terror in the Greater Sahara region. From Balakot to Mali. Should terror be neutralized at source? That's our top focus on India First.
Is this then the new template that's being set? Remember, Indian Air Force jets crossed the line of control, crossed the international border and hit the biggest terror training camp of Jaish-e-Mohammed in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area of Pakistan. France has crossed the sea and hit a terror training camp of Al-Qaeda, also training terrorists of the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara region in Mali. And terrorists have not only been neutralized, not only were Mirage fighter jets used, but unmanned combat aerial vehicles also dropped bombs, and some suspected terrorists have been taken into custody. I'm Gaurav Sawant. I will get you the latest. Additional Rafale aircraft, 3 more Rafale aircraft have now come in and joined the 5 with the Indian Air Force at Ambala. But much more on that. Let me now get to our top focus story, and that is this terror attack that took place in Vienna. So just before the lockdown, on the eve of a month-long lockdown in Vienna, armed terrorists, armed with assault rifles, handguns, these terrorists, apparently more than one in number, they targeted a busy restaurant district in the capital of Austria, in Vienna. 5 people have lost their lives, a young waitress, a young man, a passerby, and an elderly couple. 1 terrorist has been neutralized, a suspected Islamic State sympathizer. He'd spent 22 months in prison for trying to go to Syria to launch a terror attack. We bring you this report. Peace shattered by the burst of an assault rifle in the busy restaurant district of Vienna, the capital of Austria. The waitress of a restaurant, a young passerby, and 2 elderly people were killed in the indiscriminate firing, allegedly by a suspected Islamic State terrorist.
This is a terrorist attack, the severity of which we have, thank God, not had to suffer in Austria for a long time. Sadly, we have several wounded and several dead.
As ambulance and police sirens pierced the night air, hundreds of police personnel fanned out across Vienna and multiple checkpoints were set up, with eyewitnesses reporting more than 1 terrorist. Police killed 1 suspected terrorist armed with an assault rifle and a handgun.
Keine Ahnung. Diese Leute wollen immer Islam größer machen, aber die machen immer kleiner. Die andere Leute verstehen, Islam ist schlecht und sowas. Aber die Leute machen kaputt und sowas. Ich weiß nicht, was soll ich da sagen. Aber das ist nicht normal.
Ja, Wahnsinn, das war irgendwann einmal zu erwarten, dass in Wien auch passiert. Das ist eine Großstadt und Berlin, Paris, irgendwann ist nur eine Frage der Zeit gewesen eigentlich. Meines Erachtens.
Police raided the house of a suspected terrorist identified as a 20-year-old male of Macedonian origin. French President Emmanuel Macron was the first to tweet his support to Austria in the war against terror.
Vienne et l'Autriche ont vécu hier soir. La douleur, la peur, la blessure. Les victimes sont évidemment tombées et je pense à leurs familles et leur apporte tout notre soutien. Mais je pense aussi à ce que Vienne représente dans l'histoire de notre Europe.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted to say, India stands with Austria during this tragic time. Police are carrying out a series of raids and have taken several suspects into custody. The Austrian government insists the perpetrators will be brought to justice. Bureau Report, IndiaToday. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said Europe will fight this radical terror together. France has already started taking action. French Mirage jets, they bombed Mali. This Greater Sahara region, there was a concentration of Al-Qaeda and Islamic State terrorists. Unmanned combat aerial vehicles and Mirage 2000 fighter jets went and bombed it. Take a look at this report.
A series of lone wolf attacks. Innocent people beheaded. France is facing the horrors of terrorism. On Tuesday, it was Austria that saw the ugly, dangerous face of terrorism. An attack near a synagogue in the heart of Vienna left several dead, many injured. French President Emmanuel Macron was among the first to condole the attack. Macron issued a stern warning saying that this is Europe. Our enemies must know who they are dealing with. We will not give up. While Macron was sympathizing with the Austrians, French forces were setting into motion their president's war on terror. In faraway Africa, French forces said they had eliminated 50 terrorists in West African nation of Mali. The offensive took place on Friday when a drone detected a convoy of Al-Qaeda terrorists in an area near the borders of Burkina Faso and Niger. Two French Mirage jets swung into action and neutralized the convoy. The French surgical strike was a strong message of intent to terror operatives. India too had shown a similar resolve by pounding Jaish terror camps in Balakot in 2019. Bureau Report, IndiaToday.
Joining me now on the broadcast is Wing Commander Anil Goyal. He's a former fighter pilot. Shiva Roor stays with me on the broadcast. Wing Commander Goyal, in your appreciation, is this now a new template? If you know there are terrorists somewhere, you seek them and you destroy them, and air power is the chosen mode.
Yes, Gaurav, very good evening. This is not the first time that this is happening. The French forces have carried out such attacks earlier also. I'll bring to your notice that in 2017, when US Special Forces were ambushed in Great Saharan region, once again the French fighters were in action over there. And that time they didn't carry out any strikes, but they overflew, showing their intent to the ambushers that they must give up and get out from that area. Subsequently, once again, they carried out strikes in 2019. Similar kind of action was taken in that time, wherein 30 terrorists were killed. Similar area. However, once again in 2020, now once again as per reports, 50 jihadis were crossing on motorcycle and they were attacked by two French fighters. I think this is the norm, which is we are going to see more and more, where the nations all over the world have resolved to nip the problem in the bud where it is required.
Fair
And
enough,
I think the
Shiv.
political leaders have
India
shown
did an
that they
airstrike
will
on
not.
Balakot. Again, it was the Mirage 2000 that was the chosen platform to strike deep inside Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Shiv, is this perhaps the best option, or even better still, use unmanned combat aerial vehicles, because the lives of your pilots are also saved, Shiv?
These are extremely complicated missions, Gaurav. And like Wing Commander Goyal said, the French Air Force and the French Navy have some experience, in precision aerial strikes in the North African region. They have conducted strikes. You and I, have both seen French jets also over Libya, Gaurav. But the fact is,
Yes.
absolutely, a template has definitely been set because in the modern day battlefield, I think what you said before is turning out to be true. Wipe out terror at the source, whether it is with manned fighters or if platforms permit, then with unmanned combat aerial vehicles like the Predator drones that the United States has. And that the Indian government might be acquiring quite soon. These are all possibilities, but none of these missions. Let's not pretend that any of these missions is in any way simple. They are very, very high risk missions. Groups like the ISIS are known to have quite sophisticated air defenses as well. They've got good intelligence, they've got good early warning, and even though many of their assets have been taken out in these aerial strikes, they continue to be supplied with quite advanced early warning and air defense systems, including surface-to-air missiles. So their capability, while significantly depleted over the last few years, continues to be largely unknown in many parts of Syria and Iraq. And as we see many of these, lone wolf and coordinated attacks in Europe, I imagine that such strikes are only going to increase.
Wing Commander Goyal, you're a fighter pilot, and the entire world saw in horror how the Islamic State terrorists, they burnt a Jordanian F-16 pilot alive. Horrifying images. So those are the risks involved. Does the Islamic State still have those kinds of capabilities to bring down a fighter jet? We've seen both Shiv and I were reporting from Libya, and we saw the ACAC guns go after aircraft, Colonel Gaddafi's aircraft at that point of time, very frequently. But have they upgraded it to missiles and even further?
Yes, it is very true that anti-aircraft weapons are available with the terrorists these days. However, as they are prepared, we are more formidable. We got intelligence. We are much more better trained, and we keep updating our tactics depending on the weapons that they carry. So, in case we have information available that they have using AK guns or the missiles, appropriately the tactics are changed. Either we are using a laser-guided bomb or long-range cruise missiles, or even better, we are using the unmanned aerial vehicles today. So as the technology goes into the hand of the terrorists,
Shiv,
we as a nation, as a defense forces, keep upgrading our tactics to keep our pilots out of the harm's way. Thank you.
Let me now take it to the Indian context. Shiv, we've seen 12 Mirage 2000s go deep inside Pakistan and bomb Balakot. Would that be possible once again, given the fact that the Pakistani Air Force would be better prepared in future? They're a capable Air Force. While that's an Air Force that also sides with terrorists, the threat for Indian Air Force is even bigger. You have a terrorist and an Air Force of an adversary that operate in tandem, Shiv.
Gaurav, in the Balakot airstrike, the Pakistan military system, the Pakistan Air Force early warning air defenses were all completely deceived, in a masterful deception planned by the Indian Air Force. And that's why that bombing was possible. So a lot of planning went into it. It wasn't just, a bravado mission where the Mirages crossed over, bombed and came back. It was a highly orchestrated deception that lured fighters from Pakistan away to the other side. And then our guys went in and bombed Balakot and came back. But things are significantly different now. For instance, for the next bombing mission, if it is ever deemed necessary, the Indian Air Force's new Rafale fighters, for instance, Gaurav, have both air-to-air and air-to-ground weaponry like the Meteor and the Scalp, which will not even necessitate crossing the line of control or the international border. These are fighter jets that, with their existing weaponry and electronics and sensors, can actually precision target targets deep inside Pakistan, not just POK, but deep inside Pakistan, while not even leaving Indian airspace. Of course, all of this is easier said than done. I am not for a moment, making it sound like a video game. War is a very, very serious business. But speaking strictly from a technical and a tactical point of view, that's what these aircraft and these weapons are actually built for: long-range standoff strikes. So theoretically, if the need arises, if targets are, evaluated and found to be needed to be taken out, then the Rafale fighters and even weapons on some of the other fighters that the Indian Air Force has are capable of conducting those strikes without even leaving Indian airspace, Gaurav.
Now it remains to be seen whether Europe and the world will unite to take on terror, especially this new face of terror, Islamic State terror, Daesh, radicalized elements who operate out of bases or even out of their homes in our midst. And finding these terrorists is extremely dangerous and difficult. But look at India. Look at the number of threats that we face. So you have terrorism, you have a hostile Pakistan. Let's also talk about a hostile China. Of course, India and China core commanders will talk. But another mechanism to counter China is the Malabar series of exercises. They've kicked off today. In the past, you've had India and America exercising together. Then you had the Japanese Navy who joined in. And this time, the Australian Navy is also participating. What's the aim? To ensure free navigation in the Indo-Pacific. Shiv Arur and Abhishek Bhalla with this report.
4 democracies have united in the blue waters of the Indian Ocean. The navies of India, US, Japan and Australia, who form the Quad, are undertaking a joint drill on the high seas. The exercise being held in 2 phases. The mega naval exercise brings together the 4 key partners in the emerging Indo-Pacific geopolitics. An open and prosperous Indo-Pacific was the call given during the high-level 2+2 dialogue between India and United States in Delhi last week.
That the CCP is no friend to democracy, the rule of law, transparency, nor to freedom of navigation, the foundation of a free and open and prosperous Indo-Pacific.
The Indo-Pacific region was a particular focus of our talks. We reiterated the importance of peace, stability, and prosperity for all countries in this region. As Raksha Mantri stated, this is possible only by upholding the rules-based international order, ensuring the freedom of navigation in international seas, promoting open connectivity, and respecting the territorial integrity and sovereignty of all states.
India, US and Japan have been taking part in the major drill of the Indian coast for several years. But Australia, which is the 4th member of the Quad, is participating for the first time. The idea of the Quad was crystallized in 2005 to speed up intelligence sharing and strategic ties between India, Australia, Japan and the US. Today it has a new role, that of countering the expansionist policies of Beijing. US Navy ship USS John S. McCain, a guided missile destroyer, Australian Navy ship HMAS Ballarat, a long-range frigate, and Japanese ship JS Onami, which is a destroyer, are participating along with Indian Navy units. The Malabar exercise is a strong message to China, which claims almost all of the 1.3 million square mile South China Sea as its sovereign territory.
For the first time, the naval war games will be held spanning across the Indian Ocean region from the east to the west. In the first phase, the war games will be carried out in the Bay of Bengal, and in the second phase, starting mid-November, these will be held in the Arabian Sea. The message is loud and clear. As the Quad countries come together, India wants to showcase its naval power both against China as well as Pakistan. With camera person Kripal Singh, this is Abhishek Bhalla in New Delhi for India Today.
Four powerful navies, four powerful democracies, when they operate together, it not only sends out a message to the expansionist forces, it also encourages smaller democracies to take hope, to join in, to unite and take on the adversary. We'll be tracking that story very closely, but that is all I have time for on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.